Thank you everyone for coming. As you may have read, this was supposed to be a meeting of the JCLS, and despite what some of you may have read somewhere, one person does not constitute a majority, so we do not have a quorum right now. It's interesting, we were supposed to meet in room 101, and that room has now been locked, so we can't access it. And it's a small example of, I think, the ongoing issues with JCLS. You have people in this building who think that they can unilaterally control the operations of this building and make decisions which are supposed to be made by a majority of the JCLS. It's just one small example of a litany of examples of unlawful conduct in here. It has long been our hope to have a public meeting of JCLS, and I'll reference a couple comments by our counterparts about calling meetings. Speaker Mattiello said on January 24th, 2020 on the Tarek Granahan show that he's happy to have meetings as much as we want, and that if Blake asks for a meeting and an audit in writing, we'll hold a meeting with JCLS. Senate President Ruggerio and Senate Minority Leader Algiere said on January 23rd, 2020 that the Senate has long held that the Joint Committee on Legislative Services should meet regularly and vote on matters before us. And that was the purpose of the meeting which we called. As you can see from the letter we provided, that our sole purpose of this meeting was to set a meeting schedule going forward. 6 times a year to have JCLS publicly meet. And it's our second good faith attempt at collaboration to resolve our disputes. That's kind of why none of this was made public, because we wanted to work together as adults, the 5 members of JCLS, or at least that was my intent, to resolve our multitude of disputes. Instead, our counterparts have refused to attend a meeting and are perpetuating a veil of unlawful JCLS secrecy and desperately clinging to old misguided ways of doing things. Their refusal to even meet demonstrates why our lawsuit is necessary. If we had all met today, most of the issues in our lawsuit would have been resolved. Most of them would have been mooted out because we're asking the court to declare that JCLS has to meet in order to decide certain things for the operations of this building. Importantly, this was the Speaker's opportunity to have a lawful audit of the convention center. If you remember, he had stated that if we call a meeting with JCLS, then he would come and we could consider it. And although the Senate President and the Senate Minority Leader wouldn't have come, as you can see from the letter the Speaker had provided, he wanted me to sign 3 weeks ago that 3 of us, the Speaker, Leader Sakarchi, and myself, could have authorized an audit. And I believe that this is legally permissible upon meeting and vote. So the Speaker had an opportunity to come down here today with my friend, the Majority Leader, and we could have properly authorized an audit of the convention center. I'm concerned that the Speaker doesn't want to have this audit now. He had stated that evidence had come to him which he believed made an audit necessary, and he hasn't disclosed what that information is. We could have gone into closed session. We could have considered that information. I would have ensured that any audit wasn't for political retribution. And if I was sure of that, I would have voted to have an audit of the Convention Center Authority like the Speaker wanted, and how we've been asking for over 5 years. I want to read one tweet from someone in the media industry. It's the editor of the newspaper. And they tweeted yesterday that it is disgraceful that Blake Filippi and the Republicans keep blocking a forensic audit of this place, the convention center, for partisan ends. Let me be clear, we are not blocking an audit. There was an opportunity here to have an audit today, and our counterparts chose not to attend. We are not obstructionists, we just want to follow the law. Our counterparts' refusal to meet and even to set a meeting schedule for JCLS, at a bare minimum, saying we're going to meet 6 times a year, it really puts the operations of this entire building at risk, because it is our reasoned legal position that pretty much everything that happens in here happens unlawfully, because JCLS doesn't meet, JCLS hasn't delegated its authority to anyone, and we have an executive director who was never even appointed by JCLS to serve in that role. I think our counterparts don't want to meet because they don't want to give up control of the multitude of things in this building which are the statutory authority of JCLS, and I'm going to read through some of them. Hiring employees, these are all responsibilities, sole responsibilities of JCLS which have not been delegated by any action of JCLS. Hiring employees, appointing an executive director, setting compensation, controlling House and Senate appropriations, entering into contracts, managing the printing of the General Assembly, appointing a law revision director, directing the Auditor General to engage in audits, maintaining, repairing, and renovating the State Capitol building, procuring office space for legislators, supplies, equipment, professional and technical assistance, maintaining the records of the General Assembly, managing the information systems of the General Assembly, and managing the electronic voting devices for the General Assembly, and managing the legislative grant program. These are all things that JCLS must meet and vote on for them to be lawful, or at the very least, meet and vote to delegate those authorities to someone else. It has never happened. All of these things are legally questionable. And we don't want to have to raise these legal issues. We don't want to have to go to court and ask a court to declare that everything that's happening up here is illegal. We want to, going forward, start meeting and have this building operate properly and lawfully. This was my counterparts, our counterparts on JCLS's opportunity to move on from the past, to open this building up to sunshine, and to begin necessary reforms, and to begin following the law. We are here to tell you that our good faith attempts to resolve our lawsuit have failed, and we are going to proceed forthwith in the Superior Court. Thank you.
The leader, you said the Senate member said that they did not want to meet today because of the lawsuit. Why didn't you drop the lawsuit and have the meeting?
It's chicken or egg, Kate. It's chicken or egg. Our lawsuit will be resolved by meeting. If we drop our lawsuit, we have no ability to compel the necessary lawful meetings. So I don't agree with that legal interpretation. I tell my clients, you don't have to do what I say, you just have to listen to what I say. I think taking that advice is folly.
What leads you to believe that the judiciary will tell the legislature how to conduct its business?
Excellent question. So it's been clear that JCLS is considered an administrative agency. And it is clear that JCLS is considered an administrative agency. I am a member on that administrative agency, and the law which we have passed is not being followed. The only way I can seek redress is through the courts.
What makes you say it's an administrative agency?
Prior court decisions. I said it's administrative in nature. And that is the best argument against our lawsuit, is the separation of powers argument. I'm glad you brought it up.
Please.
That is their best argument against our lawsuit. I don't think it carries today because I am a member of JCLS who is being harmed. My legal statutory rights are being usurped from me by the unlawful actions of my fellow members.
Majority Leader Judge Karchi said to Go Local that he would meet if asked for a meeting, so both the Speaker and the Majority Leader said they would meet. Can you speak to that? Have you had conversations with Majority Leader Shekarchi?
No, I have not. I follow what's happened in the press. Our communications have been in writing. I think that the leader is being a good number two. I think the decision ultimately has rested with the Speaker.
You indicated to Kate a week ago that you were going to amend your complaint in the court. Is that what this is about? And what is the nature of the amendment?
So, I think any person who's considering litigation should attempt to resolve it by all means possible before you go and battle in court. I don't think courts should be the place, and I think Chief Justice Frank Williams had said this, that courts aren't the place that disputes begin, courts are the place where disputes end. And I wanted to see if we could resolve this without going to court first. What happened 3 weeks ago, we had no choice but to immediately run to court based on the illegal audit and the speakers and transients and refusal to call a meeting. That was an emergency issue. This litigation now isn't as emergent as it was before. So I wanted to try and resolve this issue before going to court, and unfortunately we weren't able to.
So where are you going now? So
we're going to be going back to court. We're going to be filing an amended complaint within the next few business days. And that amended complaint, well, once the illegal audit was dropped, many of the allegations in our complaint became superfluous.
So what is the gist of your complaint?
Seeking declaratory relief that JCLS acts through a majority vote, that the chairman is not the majority, the one-member chairman is not the majority, that we must act through a majority vote, and we're seeking injunctive relief to stop the usurpation of the JCLS's statutory authority by one man.
Do you have a list of items that you were going to propose at the meeting that you tried to call?
So to be clear, in our press packet, which I think was sent to all you guys, there's copies around, I had stated that I'm calling a meeting on February 13th at 1 p.m. in room 101 to consider and act upon the attached amendments to the JCLS rules and to entertain any other business that members bring forth. So I had attached copies of the rules. Our rules require 7 days' notice. The only amendment to the rules which I proposed was D, meetings requiring that JCLS meet the second Tuesday of every odd numbered month.
You say you've been harmed, as a member of the JCLS, you've been harmed by not meeting and non-responsiveness of the speaker. What's the nature of the harm that you've
It's simple.
endured?
My right to have my voice heard and to vote on everything that happens in this building has been taken from me. Even if I lose the votes, I have a right to make my voice heard as a member, and that's been taken.
And how do you feel about that?
Listen, I want to enforce the law. I think it is the height of hypocrisy that the lawmakers in this building who expect everyone out there to follow the law under pain of fine or imprisonment won't even follow the laws that they passed. It's time for those making the laws to stop breaking the laws.
Have you had any conversation with Leader Algiere, your fellow Republican, on this issue?
None before calling this press conference.
Why is it, have you tried to reach out to him beyond just the written communication and the formal legal request to say, we're in the same party, we should be working together here?
Listen, I'm not going to comment on my private conversations with other members of JCLS. I want public meetings so discussions can happen in the open, but I'm not going to comment on private conversations.
You said everything that happens in this building is illegal?
Most of it.
That's a pretty serious charge to bring.
That's why we need to start meeting, because I believe that JCLS has the sole statutory authority via the plain language of the operative statutes to do everything that I just listed.
You mean that everything that JCLS does is in your view illegal, not the legislature as a whole?
Well, let's be clear. JCLS hasn't done anything. JCLS has never met, not never. In recent memory, JCLS hasn't met. JCLS hasn't acted. People, ultra vires, have taken actions which are unlawful in the name of JCLS. If we met and voted on all the things in this building, there would be no issue. Everything would be lawful.
You've not had meetings since you've been a member.
No.
Ostensibly done.
When was the last JCLS meeting?
Yeah, that's up to like public lore. And you know, some people say it was 2004. Someone said it was in 2010 to hire the redistricting commission. I mean, I haven't been able to get a clear answer.
So there, if it's determined by the courts that the actions are illegal, of course, JCLS is going to ostensibly continue acting unilaterally, making decisions here at the assembly. When then are all prior actions deemed illegal? How do you move forward from that if the court decides that the actions were in fact illegal?
So if the court decides that actions were in fact illegal, then we as a body could meet and ratify the prior actions. You know, we're not talking about contracts being torn up. We're not talking about employment agreements being torn up. Those were made with apparent authority by the person on the other side of the transaction. They, I don't think, knew that JCLS didn't have the legal authority to make these contracts. So I think that if the court determines that the actions of JCLS are illegal, I think we actually do what we're supposed to do, sit down and meet and start ratifying things that we've done in the past.
Who has oversight over the JCLS?
The JCLS has oversight over
Right.
JCLS, and in our opinion, the courts as well.
You'll let us know when you get a hearing from the court?
Most definitely, most definitely. Our intent is to file an amended complaint and start discovery.
This whole thing started with the dumpster incident, right? That's how you became aware of the remodeling and all that. Would you say that's fair?
No, I say a week before that.
A week
before
before
that,
that.
when I went to the speaker and said, Speaker, the audit is illegal, you're doing it in JCLS's name, please call a meeting of JCLS where we can ratify what I see as an unlawful audit. He refused. He said that he makes decisions on behalf of JCLS. I went back the second night. He refused again. We filed our lawsuit the very next day.
Did you or anyone that you're aware of tip off the media or state police about the dumpster?
I was on Block Island.
That's not an answer to the question.
No, I wasn't even on the mainland when that happened.
Well, there's cell service on Block Island.
I know. I didn't tip off anybody. I
Are
didn't
you
tip off
aware of
anybody.
anyone who tipped off anyone?
I am unaware of anybody tipping off the media. I got a phone call at like 11:30 at night from someone who said that the media was outside the State House.
No one in the Rhode Island GOP tipped off the police or members of the media?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
And just to be clear, if the speaker had agreed to a meeting today, the things that you would have asked him to do would be to approve this amendment that would require them to meet, what is every,
Every odd number. Every
odd number
January,
month.
March.
And, okay,
No, from May,
Every other month.
yeah, the first, third, fifth, seventh, 11th month.
they end in July.
Yeah.
And an audit of the convention center.
The audit is the speaker's issue. I was ready here today to entertain a discussion about the audit.
But you would not, I just want to be clear on you wouldn't have actually said, let's do an audit of the convention center. I would make a motion to do an audit of the convention center.
I wouldn't make a motion until there was a discussion explaining the issues which I had raised. The issues which I had raised were, we've been calling this for 5 years, for 5 years, you refuse us, what has changed? I want to make sure that we are not being used for a political purpose. I have an open mind. I would listen to the speaker. He said he had information that came to him which compelled him to call for the audit. I would love to hear him out, and if I agreed and it was legitimate and I felt comfortable doing it, I would vote yes.
When you say calling for this, he's talking about the GOP having called for an audit of the convention center years prior.
Since 2015.
Absolutely. It's not a new thing from the GOP.
Given that there's no oversight, why not have a private meeting instead of a public meeting?
We could have private meetings. We're not subject to the Open Meetings Act.
Right.
I would entertain a private meeting. I think the conversation I just described about the confidential information that came to the speaker, I think that would have to be private.
Right.
So we could move to go into closed session at any time.
Okay.
Do you think the meetings not being subject to open meetings is problematic in and of itself, though?
Yes.
Potentially. I think not meeting is more problematic. And then once we start meeting, we can say, you know what, we should be subject to the LMA.
And one of the core functions of JCLS is hiring and firing personnel issues. Those things would never be discussed in an open forum.
You could
So
go into
executive session would be a necessary part of any sort of meeting for JCLS.
And let me be clear, when you look at the proposed rule amendments, I say that the JCLS may go into closed session by affirmative vote of the majority of the members present. So implicit in these rule amendments is that we have public meetings.
Right.
Thank you.
Anybody else, any questions, any members? This is Jack Lyle, representative from Lincoln, and Michael Chippendale, representative from Foster, Gloucester, Coventry. Lincoln and Pawtucket from Senator Lyle.
So the speaker's called the lawsuit a political stunt. What do you say to that?
You want to take it, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, that's easy. You can call anything we do in this building a political stunt because we're in a political arena. I think that the history of where we are on this issue and the fact that we've been calling for an audit specifically of the convention center, since at least 2015, we have been, as well as our Senate counterparts, bemoaning the fact that JCLS doesn't meet for decades. I mean, this is not new stuff. This isn't a stunt. This is a step of last resort. We have, as professionals, as grown-ups, tried to rectify this in a professional way with agreements, and it's been rejected at every turn. We've been pushed to the point where we have to seek injunctive relief from the courts. We don't want to be in the court. We don't want to be spending time and paying attorneys to be in the court. We want to be doing what we do, what we're supposed to do in this building.
And if I could just add, one of the reasons why I'm here this afternoon is I applaud my leaders for this, because we're finally doing what we should be doing, and that is acting as the loyal opposition. That's our charge. Being the minority party, it's up to us to make certain that the majority leadership is acting in a responsible and lawful way.
You mentioned sorry.
Before, I just want to follow up with Ed real quick. Ed, I said the statement to you a couple days ago when we talked, that I learned early on in law school that when you have the law on your side, you argue the law. When you have the facts on your side, you argue the facts. And when you have neither, you attack your opponents. And the fact that all the opposition to our lawsuit from the speaker and even some of their surrogates on TV calling this a political stunt, I take as a compliment because it shows that there is significant merit in the facts and the law which we're alleging.
You mentioned redistricting. Do you see yourself, if the JCLS is revived under your ideas, of having an active voice in the way redistricting is decided?
So we would love to have that active voice, but if you remember, the JCLS merely hires the consultant,
Right.
and then the consultant advises the two bodies.
So you would like to be involved in a conversation to hire that
Oh,
consultant?
yeah. I'd love to. And
Right.
frankly, if they go hire this guy without a meeting with JCLS, that would just be another paragraph in our complaint.